always feel like I'm in the twilight zone.
Hola everyone, JB Thrills here, back with another video, and today we're talking about Six Flags Over Texas. As you know, Six Flags Over Texas is the first Six Flags park, and it has had a lot of history. But throughout time, it's changed a lot. And with those changes, it kind of lost its original theme of Texas for a new mix of DC and Looney Tune themes. Which, I gotta be honest, is probably the reason why Over Texas' theming is kind of sporadic, as you have random rides themed to DC in random areas, while some other attractions are themed to Texas stuff. Then you have a random pirate ride in the middle of nowhere. But what if Over Texas went with a cohesive theme? What if they care about their lands similar to Knott's Berry Farm? Well, in today's video, we'll be discussing exactly that, and I'll be giving my ideas on how Over Texas can be restructured to be even better than it is now, with what I call the Six Flags Over Texas restructuring plan. But before I get into the video though, I would like to say, if you like my content and videos, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos arrive on my channel. We're very close to 4,000 subscribers, and I thank you to those who have previously been subscribed. And if you're a thrill seeker who loves all sorts of thrills no matter where they're located, I recommend sticking around. Anyways, let's get into today's video. So you might be wondering, what is the Six Flags Over Texas restructuring plan, and how does it work? Well, let me explain real quick. Basically, the restructuring plan is a new layout for Over Texas, where they have new themed lands that are high quality, complete with future attractions that can go there as well. It's essentially a scenario where Six Flags decides to invest in Over Texas and make it high quality. And hopefully Six Flags see this video to get some ideas. Now, small disclaimer, the restructuring plan is very big, so this will be a two-part video, with a second part posting soon. But in this video, we're going to cover the whole right wing of the park, which includes areas like Bugs Bunny Boomtown, the Judgeway Scream Plaza, Good Time Square, Gotham City, and Boomtown. The other side of the park will be covered in a future video, so definitely stay tuned for that. Anyways, let's get into the restructuring plan. So before we get into any of the restructuring, we have to know the basis of what this restructuring means. So to start, the purpose of this restructuring plan is to focus on Texas history and Over Texas history overall. Meaning the lands of the park will always have something to do with the history of Texas. And I'm not talking about the Six Flags. I mean like the climate portions of Texas and what makes Texas, Texas. Basically, if the culture of Texas was included into a theme park, which is what Six Flags Over Texas is supposed to mean. So starting with the front entrance of the park, we have to embrace the culture of Texas. Meaning, yes, keep the Alamo front entrance, but as you go in, play some Texas themed tunes. And you can see some Texas decorations all around, maybe some nice photo ops in the plaza, and some important history facts in some of the fences. It's minor changes to the original entrance of the park, but they are very important, considering if a first-time guest came in, they would immediately notice the charm in the park, similar to how you feel the Tennessee charm in Dollywood, or the California charm in Knott's Berry Farm, because as of now, the front entrance is very corporate, and it's not making Over Texas stand out in any way. So for this to happen, it's already a lot better than what it is now. Now, walking in, you have the front plaza, complete with the carousel and the water fountain in the center. Now this also doesn't have to change that much. What this can be is the park hub, so everything Texas related is right here in the center. They can rename Silver Star Carousel to Lone Star Carousel. Then you can have booths set up around the area that give information about the park and show you where to go. With that, you can also have most of the major entertainment take place in the front of the park, like a water fountain show in the middle, singers or dancers on the stage of the carousel like normal, but more frequent and more shows related to the culture of Texas. Next, you can retheme the Looney Tunes and DC store in the front to a Texas memorabilia store, because not everyone that visits Over Texas is from Texas. Some are traveling out of state. And for those new travelers, they probably want merch from their trip to Texas. So the store can sell anything Lone Star State related, and not related to the park at all. Maybe pictures of DFW, or nice pieces of art from Texas. Anything that'll make a tourist be like, wow, I went to the Lone Star State. Because this is a store that Over Texas does not currently have. And this is crazy, but hear me out. If Over Texas got Buc-ee's to sponsor that store, yes, the most popular store in Texas and the most iconic Buc-ee's in a Six Flags park. That'd be insane, but it's a perfect marketing plan. After all, it's themed to Lone Star State and a theme park that's about the Lone Star State. And with that out of the way, now the entire plaza and the front entrance is set. And now it's truly the hub and the first thing you see at the park, which is honestly a great way to introducing of what this new Six Flags Over Texas will be. Now for the Bugs Bunny Boomtown area, it does need some work. And honestly, I wanted to try something different. Like, what if Warner Brothers stepped out of Six Flags? Yes, it's a big deal, but can it benefit? Well, from my ideas, yes. So assuming Warner Brothers is not in Six Flags anymore, and that means no more Looney Tunes, what's going to be the mascot for the kids in the park? Well, honestly, it's already there. The mascots of classic Six Flags. And here's who I'm referring to. The Speedunkers, Cyrus Cosmo, the Pink Thing, the Tamales, and the puppets from the Puppet Theater. All of these have been past walk-around characters, excluding the puppets, in Over Texas history. And to have a kids area devoted to these past icons is honestly just amazing, and I have no idea why Six Flags has not thought of this before. So instead of Bugs Bunny Boomtown, the area can now be called Wacky West. 1, to avoid confusion with Boomtown, and 2, it's unique to the kids. The area will have a mix of all Texas culture, so northern Texas, and the area behind the bridge can be southern Texas. The playground can stay the same and just be themed to a camp in Texas. Speedy Gonzalez's trucks can now be rethemed to Pink Thing and call it Pink Thing's Pink Trucks. Then you go over the bridge and you got Yuzma and Sam's Texas Teacups and rename it to Spelunker's Spinnaker, a nice reference to the original Spinnaker. The Ferris wheel, now called the Texas Big Wheel, themed to the puppets. Wile E. Coyote Canyon Blaster, being renamed to Big Ben Jr. Marvin the Martian's Rockets can be rethemed to Cyrus Cosmo Space Race. The Looney Tunes Drop Tower, also themed to Cyrus Cosmo and called Cyrus Cosmo Dizzy Drop. Taz's Tornado Swings, rethemed to Tamales Tornado. And if Daffy Duck Bucket Blasters came back, it would be renamed to Spelunker Splash Battle. And just like that, we now have a new Texas kids area with the classic non-branded icons of Over Texas. It's original to Texas, and you can't find it at any other theme park. This alone would get the kids happy, but also the historians of Over Texas happy to see their previous icons now relived for the kids. And of course, you can have the walkarounds return with mascots like Cyrus Cosmo, the Pink Thing, and etc. And as we progress in the future, they can even add another original mascot for Over Texas. The lists are endless. And honestly, I would love this kids area way more than Bugs Bunny Boomtown, which again has a corporate feel to it. Now that we got Bugs Bunny Boomtown out of the way, what about the mall in front of it? Well, first of all, the changes that happened were kind of horrendous in my opinion. And they can still keep it that way, but just make it more centered on Over Texas history. And you can call it the Six Flags Over Texas Legacy Store, with all sorts of memorabilia of the past history of Over Texas, which again is another store that we desperately need in the park. But now, what about that weird transition area that contains Justice League, Pandemonium, and Aqua and Power Wave? Well, now let's get to that. The weird transition with Justice League, Aqua, and Pandemonium is just a really random spot in the park. They have 2 DC attractions that don't belong in the DC area, Pandemonium, which has a different theme from anything in the park, and Boomtown, which is right next to it. So yeah, no pattern here at all. So what's the best solution? Well, it's pretty simple. Just extend Boomtown. They can add a whole sign that says Welcome to Boomtown, and overall, just embrace the mining town. We can see more theming elements like steam around the area, and even minor walk-around characters. As for the attractions that stand out, like Aqua and Pandemonium and Justice League, it's quite simple, but it's kind of not. You see, if Six Flags had money and time, then they can totally re-theme Aquaman and Pandemonium. Aquaman can be re-themed to some oil towers, considering the 2 spikes already look like that, and they can call it the Boomtown Splashdown, with some nice themed elements. For Pandemonium, they can rename it Twister, and it can be themed to, of course, a tornado. Biggest one, it's Texas, and we have tornadoes in Texas, and 2, it fits perfectly in an old mining town. For Justice League, the attraction would have to get a giant overhaul. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened anytime soon anyway, because as of now, Justice League is really failing. From when it first debuted compared to now, the attraction has lost its 3D glasses, and the screens are very glitchy. So maybe they scrap the entire idea, and go with something along the lines of Knott's Berry Tales and Knott's Berry Farm, where it incorporates animatronics more, and some screen elements. And the theme could of course be mining, and shooting for gold, or something like that. And with that, Boomtown is now extended, which now has 3 confirmed areas in the park. If we go back to the plaza, we have the central hub. Then we move on along, and we got the Over Texas Legacy Store and the Wacky West Kids area. We move on again, and now we got Boomtown, which extends all the way from Aquaman to where Boomtown currently ends now beyond the train tracks. This is already looking 10 times better than what the park already looks like, as we have some really random areas, and we don't have any cohesive theming. But just this alone is great. Yes, it's expensive, and yes, this could happen in phases, but it's very possible. But now moving up, what do we do with Gotham City and Good Times Square? For the Gotham City area, it's pretty easy. I mean, considering they keep Warner Brothers in their parks, they can brand the Gotham City area as a sponsored area of the park, and go full out with all the theming in Gotham City, like more walk-around characters of the Batman villains and heroes, more entertainment that's related to Batman, and cool events that only take place in the Gotham City area, like maybe a certain month where it's like Villains Month, and as soon as it gets dark, there's lots of new entertainment with villains and cool photo ops, which would honestly be amazing, and it wouldn't take away from the Texas experience because they would brand the area as a DC themed land. And hear me out, another way to make the land way more unique, they could add lore. Now how does that work? Well, they can have walk around characters, and just like how Knott's Berry Farm has lore in Ghost Town, they can hide secrets all over the Gotham City land that has a storyline of a villain doing something, and it's up to the guests to help Batman find out who did it. Like you can have these characters all over Gotham City, like for example, let's say the mayor of Gotham City is missing, and then we have these little TVs around the area talking about the disappearance of the mayor, and even a fake crime scene from where the mayor disappeared. Then you can have Batman interviewing the guests and asking them what they know, and if guests want to help out, they can solve some clues with Batman to find out which villain in the area did it. Then you can even have an event that leads to the capture of this villain. But it doesn't stop there. You can then have major events take place in the land that tie into the story, like a night where the villains run rampant and take control of Gotham City, or a night where the Justice League has to step in. The ideas are limitless, but just this little addition will not only make the area more fun and interactive for guests, but it basically adds a new attraction to over Texas without spending that much money. And to make the area feel even more separate from the park, they can have a gate entering guests into that area that says "Welcome to Gotham City." This will make it a lot easier to have a Gotham City land in a Texas theme park because it's just a sponsorship. And again, this will be a lot easier and cheaper compared to retheming everything, with minor upgrades like Batman being more themed to the movie, Mr. Freeze getting that upgrade, and the villains area of Gotham getting more emphasis on the villains. Now another thing I noticed about the area is the lack of stuff for kids. Now yes, Gotham City is not a kids area, but there should at least be 2 to 3 activities for kids to do to allow the area to be even approachable for families. At the moment, there's literally no point for any families to go into that area. Now yes, you do have the splash zone for Mr. Freeze, but it's barely on. So I suggest keeping that on for majority of the summer and when it's hot to add another water attraction and something to do for kids. Now instead of just water and Batwing, they can also add one more kid activity in the area by Harley Quinn. To the left of that, you have this big wall. Well, I think that has to change, and what they could do is add an indoor play area. Similar to the Hollow at Dollywood in the Wildwood Grove area, the outside facade would look like a circus tent of Joker, but inside it's just a playground for families and kids, just like how Dollywood has it. Not only is it a simple addition because you don't have to invest in a brand new attraction for the kids, but it's also a great choice for when it rains in Texas. If it rains, the play area in Bugs Bunny Boomtown isn't effective and kids can't do anything. But with this new indoor play area, families can chill inside when the rides are closed, and the kids can have fun in there while it's raining. And of course, it attracts more people into the Gotham City area, especially in that area where Harley Quinn's located because that area needs a lot of work. The blacktop and black wall does not work. What they need to do is add more theming into that area specifically. What they could do is keep the little city theme around Mr. Freeze and Batman, and let it continue as you transition into Riddler, but then that back area where Joker and Harley Quinn is located should be themed to a circus, which of course makes sense when you have the 2 clown villains in the back. And just like that, we have a full-on cohesive theme for Gotham City that keeps it separate from the rest of the park, and does not mess with the Texas theme. And if you're wondering why I kept the DC theme for Warner Brothers in this area, and not the kids area, well it's mainly because this area is already known for all the Gotham City attractions, and it'd be a lot harder to retheme all of this than retheme the kids area. Plus, it's a lot better to keep the Warner Brothers stuff at a minimum, or at least all together, because that way it doesn't mess with the Texas theme and make it confusing, which is the problem we have now. To have the kids area theming Texas stuff is way better, because then in the Gotham City area, all the Warner Brothers properties can run free, and it can be its own little thing. But anyways, just like that, we now have the new Gotham City area, which is a big step from what it was before. And now it's truly Gotham City, instead of just random DC themed attractions near each other that all seem to be themed to villains. Now what about the Judge Roy Scream Plaza in that area with Texas Skyscraper? Is that Gotham City or is that the kids area? Let's move on to that next. The Judge Roy Scream Plaza is the nickname I gave this area that consists of Majestic Theater, Texas Skyscraper, Judge Roy Scream, and Cloud Bouncer. This area was originally part of the Good Times Square section, but once Gotham City came in, this area basically just became blank. Even with restructuring, it's hard to attach this area to Gotham City or even Wacky West, because it's just too separate from both of them. Plus, I wouldn't want to change Texas Skyscraper to a Gotham City theme. So, there's a simple solution, which is make this area a brand new land. For those of you that have been to over Texas before Aquaman got removed, and I'm talking about the original Aquaman, you might remember the path that went from Bugs Bunny Boomtown to Texas Skyscraper behind the old Aquaman attraction. This path has since been closed for the construction of the new Aquaman Power Wave. But assuming it opens up by this time, that means the path will be open as well. Now if this is the case, that opens up a new opportunity to create this new land. And here's what I mean. Assuming you're going from Wacky West to this new land, that little pathway now attaches to this new area, which will be called Good Times Square. Yes, Good Times Square is back, but better than before. See, originally, Good Times Square was themed to a fun area full of fun attractions. But since Good Times Square debuted in the 70s, why not have the new Good Times Square themed to the 1970s? But of course connected to Texas. So a 1970 Texas area full of retro charm. That would be amazing. And the attractions would not have to change much. Texas Skyscraper can stay the same with more of a 70s theme. Majestic Theater would get an update and look good as new, but of course like if it was in the 70s. Cloud Bouncer can be renamed to Good Times Cloud Bouncer, and Judge Roy Scream stays the same, but slightly different, and I'll get to that in a bit. As for the rest of the area, it will have more of a 70s aesthetic, and for Majestic Theater, since it's really unused, they can add a new entertainment venue inside, and it doesn't have to be a show. Since it's a theater, why not make it a movie theater? And they can play a film about the history of over Texas in a really entertaining format instead of just a regular documentary, showcasing clips of past Six Flags. Because again, we don't have that, and since it's pretty close to Wacky West, which is like a history-based kids area, it definitely attaches to the flow of the history theme in that area. In that pathway behind Aquaman, you can even add photo ops themed to the 70s, which will be great. And now let's talk about that area where Judge Roy Scream is located. If you don't know, Judge Roy Scream is in a very secluded place. You go under the road to enter the attraction, and suddenly you're outside the park next to the lake. I mean, it's cool and all, but I can't help but think that this area is such a waste of space, because there's so much they can do. So I have a solution. Give Judge Roy Scream a giant theming upgrade. Obviously the theming now is not working, and the name Judge Roy Scream is just kind of weird. But what if you gave a meaning to that name, and even a story? My concept is that there's a crazy judge named Judge Roy Scream. He's so eccentric in fact that he turned his courtroom into a roller coaster. And now whether you're a lawyer or you're a jury, you have to ride this coaster for his hearings. So as you go under the freeway, the little cement walls can be decorated to the 70s with 70s plaster walls. Little TVs will be around there telling the story of crazy Judge Roy and all the eccentric stuff that he's done. And while you're waiting in the queue, a radio host will talk about the news of Judge Roy, and now you turn his courtroom into a roller coaster. Then the coaster starts off, and when you reach that end segment under the little bridge, the judge will decide if you're guilty for having fun or not guilty, depending if you were screaming on the attraction or not. Then the actual queue house of the building looks like a courtroom, and you can even repaint Judge Roy Scream's trains brown to match what a jury looks like. And with all that, Judge Roy Scream is now 10 times better than it is now. This would definitely attract more people into that area, considering Judge Roy Scream is always a walk-on. Plus, it gives better explanation to the coaster on why it's called Judge Roy Scream. And yes, I know it's a parody off of Judge Roy being the infamous judge in Texas, but not everyone catches that, so might as well give it something new and a better meaning. And as for the area around Judge Roy Scream, there's still a lot of potential to do stuff with, and I personally don't like the closed concept of only staying between the fences. So what if they made the exit way more open concept, add some scenery, and maybe even one more flat ride in the area, also themed to the 70s, maybe the perfect spot for the original Harley Quinn, aka Crazy Legs. And yes, I know this means Judge Ice Cream has to stick around instead of getting replaced with a B&M Giga. But assuming they did this updates, they could also even call GCI to update Judge Ice Cream with new trains and maybe a new layout. This alone would be just as good as getting a new coaster. But anyways, those are the updates for Good Times Square, and we now have the entire right side of the park restructured thanks to the Six Flags Over Texas restructuring plan. And again, this is very unrealistic, and it's more on the basis of if Six Flags had money and could do something about it. And yeah, I understand it's very unlikely, but let's say they did do it, they could definitely do it in phases. Like phase 1 would be the main entrance restructuring, then phase 2 to the kids area, and etc. This could at least give Six Flags Over Texas a purpose on what new rides to install and how to tie them into these areas to prepare. But now with the whole right area done, let's take one last look at the new restructured right side of the park before we end this video. And that's part 1 of the restructuring plan. In part 2, we'll discuss the rest of the park, and finally put them all together. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. It was a lot of work, and I hope you enjoyed it, even if it wasn't realistic. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel, and share the video so more people can watch it. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is JB Thrills, signing out.